This is the I think they're short out there market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. What are we covering today? We're covering breakout levels. We're covering the reason why this is happening. We're going to cover the reasons why it's going to continue to happen. Everybody is bearish. Everybody's old 4-year cycle. Wah, 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 wah. Meanwhile, Michael Saylor is quietly winning. We'll go through all of that, which will include his recent Bitcoin purchases and what could be a massive turnaround in his stock or his company's stock, MicroStrategy. And of course, we'll have an update on the geopolitical situation where the Iranians may have fired their last missile today. They fired something super sophisticated. And as you may have seen, gold is going down and Bitcoin is going up. And that's a great place to begin. Now, gold goes up because of fear, right? Fear of problems in the banking system, fear of private credit, fear of geopolitical events, fear of dollar devaluation. Matter of fact, gold and silver were the unilateral dollar devaluation. And of course, the precious metals trade was also a component of the AI data center buildup. Okay. So that's nice, but normally gold will top and Bitcoin will bottom when the liquidity response comes in. Now, you're like, what liquidity response? Let me tell you. This is very important, so don't go anywhere. By the way, before I tell you what the liquidity response is, this is a good opportunity to tell you to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the like button, because when I tell you about the liquidity response, you're going to be in a really good mood. So now, oil goes to $100. Now, unless you're in California, I don't know that this necessarily breaks the consumer, at least mathematically speaking. I mean, oil was 120 for a long time, 20 years ago, and life continued. However, if you add the existing inflation picture, the existing price of food, okay, you add, a lot of people are completely disenchanted with the reason that we're involved in this. This has impacted consumer sentiment. For example, I walk into the local grocery store 2 days after this thing hits. The entire store is redecorated with price cuts, and you can't walk down the aisle without these little highlighted yellow stickers of 10 and 20% markdowns on basic food items. By the way, when I go to the grocery store, some stuff that would normally be sold out is packed, left on the shelf. Now, what has this done? Well, if people have paused buying groceries, there's a problem with consumer sentiment. Normally, when oil goes up, everyone's like, well, we're going to expect inflation. Now, gas has gone up, and it is the final depression tipping point. It's the tipping point for the consumer to just go, you know what? I'm done. I'm not spending any more money. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. In a way, it reminds me of what went on in equities when you had this science fiction Substack come out where they were like, yeah, here's what it's going to be like in 2 years based on AI. I'm like, okay, well, that's real interesting. It's a science fiction piece. Meanwhile, stocks have ignored bad news, credit card defaults, home loan defaults. They ignored everything. They ignored the fact that AI is going to change business models, and there is no such thing as a moat around a company anymore because you can push a button and replicate anything or create any new companies. Oh, by the way, accept more Bitcoin. Accept more Bitcoin. The only thing scarce in a world with no scarcity is Bitcoin, by the way. But this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Just like that Substack was what broke equities. Now, it's a psychological thing. It's a psychological thing. So guess what? Powell may cut rates this week. You know they have something going on in it's called private credit, which is a niche of Wall Street where they do risky loans. Imagine that. And of course, that's all blowing up, and that's broken. People can't get their money out of the funds, and people are taking the assets. Large players are taking assets in this particular sector and writing them down to zero. There's no liquidity, which, oh, by the way, will be a huge boom for tokenized assets when the time comes. Huge for tokenized assets. Meanwhile, there's the Fed response to this. Now, if the grocery store knows people have stopped shopping, so does Jerome Powell. So is Jerome Powell. And oh my goodness gracious, the next guy, who, by the way, shows up in what? 45 days? 50 days? What is he going to do? Oh my God, he's going to cut 100. He's going to say, hi, I'm Kevin. I'm cutting 100. I think that's why Powell has to cut. So the next guy doesn't have to do something like that looks like total panic. To be honest, no one has talked about this yet. Of course, no one was talking about anything that we're talking about here, which is why we love you. We appreciate your viewership. Everyone in Patreon, everybody in the YouTube member area got the bottom in those AI coins. Oh, yeah. A lot of AI coins up 30, 40, 50%. Boom. This market's been going up for a while, actually, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Simon here, they cracked the valve on the sugar pump. Jerome Powell, Wednesday, hawk or dove. Dude, I think Powell is coming out universally dovish. I think there's going to be all of this wah about oil and inflation expectations. So you'll get this lecture that normally oil goes up, inflation that people expect goes up, except the Financial Times just published a graph showing that's not what's happening this time. It's exactly the opposite. Inflation expectations are rolling over as oil skyrockets. Hence the grocery store analogy, right? Now, food may eventually go higher because of petrochemicals and fertilizer and all that. But that's what is on the Twitter. But what's actually happening is the consumer is done. Done. And I'm sure hiring is also going to be done as well, as if it wasn't already. So you can expect, I think Powell has to go dovetard if he doesn't cut rates. I think he can talk about risk, especially if Powell starts talking about risk to the system. If he acknowledges this private credit debacle. Regional banks, they trade terrible. No uptick. Broke moving averages, LuxAlgo resistance. Absolutely no bid. None. You ever heard this saying, long Bitcoin, short the banks? Ladies and germs, we have arrived at that exact point. And guess what? Everybody in crypto is negative. Everybody. Last week, everyone's negative. Do a bullish Bitcoin short. Crickets. I thought about dressing up as a cricket. Yeah, this is crickets. Nobody's home. Nobody's home. Oh, by the way, not nobody. Michael Saylor is home. Wait just a minute. I think Mike, he likes it. It's a cereal commercial. So he picked up 3,000 Bitcoin. This is dated March 2nd. This guy picked up 3,000 Bitcoin at 67. Let me ask you something. Then he picks up 22,000 Bitcoin for 1.5 billion at 70. Interesting. Now, here's a question for you. What is going to happen if Bitcoin goes back to 100? And I got news for you. If you're going to sit there and tell me that Bitcoin can't go back to 100, you better recompute. Because this guy's got access to all these different, see, STRF, STRC. He did something called Stripe. He's getting access to capital when the market was going down. He's getting access to capital when the market was going down. So now what's going to happen? Well, I think what's going to happen is he's going to have the media advantage. He's going to be able to go on the offensive for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to get its media sponsorship back. Media sponsorship back. And if you got somebody on the tape going, hey, Peter Schiff, Bitcoin's back at 100, how we doing? That's going to start FOMO. Now, you probably will have sellers at 100, but there's a lot of distance between 75 and 100, and nobody thinks we're going there. By the way, as a point of information, on the way down, there were all these rumors that MicroStrategy or Strategy, the stock, was going to get kicked out of something called MSCI's world indexes. Meaning a whole bunch of mutual funds were going to have to sell this stock. And I know hedge funds were attacking it. They were shorting MicroStrategy and buying Bitcoin, blah, 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 blah. You know, everybody wanted the Bitcoin treasury companies. Everybody wanted Michael Saylor to blow up. And all these hedge funds put the blow up trade on. They took profits. Okay. So if people have stopped selling MicroStrategy, they're not getting kicked out of an index. And are you ready for this? This is the only stock in the stock market, maybe other than the guy who's got ETH, but this is like the only major established stock with a moat around its business, because AI cannot create more Bitcoin, and you cannot go out and buy the amount of Bitcoin that he has in capital markets. Oh yeah, there's a DeMark 13 and 9 bottom here, just on a weekly chart, just saying. And this whole rally, like the entire move from 2024 up, has been unwound. This is like nothing ever happened. There's like no bull market since 2024 has happened in this stock. Just think about this for a second. People are bearish, out, and the only company with a moat around its business model is trading at 2024 levels. I'm not even going to waste your time going back and pulling up where NVIDIA was in September of 2024. I'm not going to bother with that because I'd be piling on. That stock is on the verge of a massive breakout. So you got to start thinking about this chain reaction. One, Bitcoin continues to either grind higher or dips to say our big Patreon level, because we got our Patreon guys in beforehand, but 73 was the breakout. You retest 73 and that holds, forget about it. They're going to come after this thing with both hands, because if you don't think the macro heads, the big hedge funds, remember these guys I talked about last week, these guys that lost all this money, if you think that they're missing what's going on here, they are all long the wrong stuff. They're long tech stocks, they're long gold, they're long silver, they're paying $100 for oil. Wrong, 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 wrong. The longer oil stays at 100, or even if oil goes to 150, you're just bringing in a bigger and bigger policy response. In other words, oil to 150 equals Bitcoin to 150K. Let me say that again. $150 oil is $150,000 Bitcoin. Want to know who's saying that? Nobody. We are. Patreon, Toby Ward, the YouTube member area. Simon Brother, thanks for the super chat. And ironically, it could be Jerome Powell that gets it all going. I'm serious. And everybody, the answer is dovish. Everybody is focused on all the negative stuff. Like, here's an example. This is the, outside the United States propaganda network BRICS, which I like, actually. Iran launches such and such missile for the first time since war began. Yeah, we got one left, so let's trot that out there and launch it while we still have it. Whatever. Straight up propaganda theater BS. The real shooting is over. All of this is for show. How about them apples? It's baloney. They got you looking this way, and the real distraction is the dollar devaluation and the monetary reset done through Bitcoin and crypto and stable coins. But you still got Solana. Solana is still a double-digit Hershey Kiss coin. $95 for Solana. Unbelievable. They were selling Zcash. Remember this we talked about on last week's stream? Zcash. Oh, yeah. We didn't want any Zcash. Selling that at $199. Winklevoss twins move a bunch of Bitcoin to a hot wallet. Drop Zcash and scare everybody. Hoover up all the Zcash, and now it's breaking out. Because they hoovered up all the supply on that capitulation event. The oldest trick in the book. And I think these characters, and Michael Saylor has been buying it in plain sight. Tom Lee's like, yeah, okay. You want to sell me ETH at 2K? Okay. I liked it at 4. I got to love it at 2,000. Right? I mean, stop me if I'm not getting this. I don't think anyone's getting this. I mean, I think they're waking up to it. But of course, we were all over this in the YouTube member area, right? Bear market survival guide. What the global elite are not telling you about Bitcoin. The great reversal has begun. We got laughed at on that. Why Bitcoin is decoupling from Wall Street and the AI movers. Naughty, bearish people. And this is the thing. Even if you want to be bearish, it could still be a highly volatile year. Like you could go all the way to 60. Then you could go to, we have it. Our upside target. Let me see our upside target that I gave Patreon in something called the conditional roadmap for July is insane. It's insane. And then the downside target for a possible Rectember, Toby and I are this is a minor disagreement as to where it goes in the fall. You could have volatility that is stunning in this thing. Stunning. And everyone is acting like it's dead, and it's not. It's obviously coming out of a dormant period, but the explosion in volatility could be absolutely epic, starting with the upside. Now, here comes some boring or seemingly boring regulatory news brought to you by my friend Andy. The SEC just proposed excluding crypto assets from OTC market rules that govern broker-dealer quotes. These are regulations originally designed for penny stocks and thinly traded equities. This is a quiet but meaningful shift. Instead of forcing Bitcoin and crypto into existing securities frameworks, the SEC is explicitly carving it out. The rules being amended dictate how brokers can publish quotes for securities by clarifying that crypto doesn't fall under these requirements. This is a key point. The SEC is signaling it doesn't view these assets through the same lens as traditional equities. Under Gensler, the approach was the opposite. They wanted to force everything into existing rules, then sue the companies that couldn't comply. This regulatory posture is flipping from prove you're not a security to these rules weren't built for you. And then the big one. It's incremental, it's boring, and it matters more than most of the headlines. Bada bing, bada boom. Who wants those rule changes? So did a bunch of regulators hanging out on a golf course just go, we should really tweak this? No. Ring. Oh, good afternoon. BlackRock. Yes, hello. Yeah. We would like you guys to change this so we could do a whole bunch of stuff in the derivatives market or in options because we think this is going to the moon and we would like to get involved. We would like to get our customers involved. So can you just fix this so we don't have to deal with it? Of course, sir. We'll get right on that. That is exactly what's going on here. Now, is it the Clarity Act? No. But when it comes time for these guys to pile in, we saw them pile in precious metals. They're still piling in oil. We've seen them pile in NVIDIA and all kinds of AI froth. And the moment that everyone realizes that they have to cut rates massively, like forget about rates are going back to 1%. Every day that oil stays at 100 is, to me, it's like 5 to 10 basis points that they got to cut. It's gonna be 100. It is. And they're going to have to do QE massively. Otherwise, the whole system's going to come unglued. And you got the regulatory environment set up so that when these guys have to come in and buy this stuff in the amount that they need to buy it, the derivatives markets, the trading, the exchanges, it's like NASCAR. Some guy waving the green flag. And all these, I don't know if you've ever seen those kind of videos, where it's like really close up. The guy waves the green flag and then the camera is still there. Then you watch all these cars going by, each of them at 200 miles an hour. That is exactly what's going to go on here. Exactly. It's the liquidity response. I mean, regional banks, right? And of course, there's a big Wall Street debate, as to what this all exactly means. Is this 2008 or isn't it? There'll be a lot more of this in Patreon, but obviously you can see this is totally broken, right? This is just not going anywhere. It's on support, but no one's buying it. And you don't know if this private credit thing is the same as 2008. Because 2008 was $150 oil with what are called subprime or risky mortgages effectively blowing up. Guys are saying it is or it isn't a repeat. What we do know is that there was no Bitcoin in 2008, one. Two, the Fed can't allow a 2008 to unfold because they would have to print so much money to fix it after it completely breaks that you probably would have massive inflation because they would probably have to do 10 trillion. I hope that's not what occurs, that there isn't a legacy nuke in Rectember. I don't know that yet. But if there is, like I could see a legacy problem in September, and that's probably why Toby's like, yeah, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem, not for Bitcoin at all. Everyone's going to sit around and go, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And Bitcoin's just going to go up. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with it. No one is ready for this. No one. Everybody was ready for it October of last year, including us. Yeah, now the catalyst is actually way bigger. Way bigger. And there's also, if you want to talk about gold, there's two gold analogs or examples from history. So there was in the 70s a huge rally in gold, followed by a 50% retracement, followed by a monster parabolic. Patreon got that graph. I think I may have showed it here too. Just at gold in the 70s. up, 50% down, monster parabolic from like, I don't know, 200 to 1,000. Crazy. Oh my God, 100 USD. Super chat. Simon, thank you, brother. You know, we appreciate the guy through the pit of despair and beyond. Winner, winner, steak dinner. Rock on, sir. Thanks for supporting the channel. This is not over. In 2008, gold crashed initially. I know this one guy, I almost lost his mind. He saw the whole thing coming and bought more gold than God and had to stop out of all of it and puked it at like 700. Only to see gold bottom and then proceed to go up like 180%. Monstrous move. It once QE started. This lasted years. Okay, just so you know, if you start at Bitcoin's February low and do 180% from there, a repeat of the 2008 post-QE gold move, say that 5 times fast, that's $176,000 Bitcoin. Who is talking about? No one's talking about 90 or 100. 150 is ludicrous. And of course, 175, you can't even talk about it. Can't even talk about it. Consensus target, October of last year. Not a word. Jordan says crypto is dead by gold. Remember that guy from last week telling me, hey, Pops, shut up. It's not going to 100. Okay. You know you're getting somewhere on YouTube when you get that hate. Got to get the hate. Right? In other words, by the time everyone realizes that they're wrong, it's going to be gone. Gone. Like I said, because, you know, this, like when I saw this SEC thing about how the SEC is like clearing the launch pad so these guys can come in and do the derivatives and do all this stuff. Oh my God. Like the thundering macro hedge fund herd is coming. Everyone's always looking for the thundering retail herd. You won't see the retail herd until it gets to 100 because it might turn around and go straight up. Look at the MicroStrategy chart. I mean, okay, so here's what you're going to tell me. It can't go up. Okay, fine. You're going to tell me it can't go up. We'll use this as a proxy for Bitcoin. Okay. So, of course, this goes straight down. Now, pull this up. This is effectively the #1 decentralized AI coin, TAO. It has unwound the entire 2026 down move in like 9 days. Simon, the super chatter, says, wise man once said, if you don't own Bitcoin, you're a moron. People, I think if you don't understand Bitcoin, you're a moron. If you don't understand that AI cannot make more Bitcoin, if you don't understand that a massive liquidity response is going to happen, you don't believe me? Look, man, go to the grocery store. Go to the store. Go somewhere. Go ask a car dealer, how's it going? Go ask them. I mean, I'm hearing gasoline in California is anything between $6 and $8. I mean, that's game over. And you got layoffs going on out there. I mean, this is like if Powell or whoever waits for the data, they're going to have to come in so big. Like you're going to have a global central bank response to this. Okay, Maureen, super chatter, is saying, what are we thinking about ISO 20022 coins like XDC? Rumor is all those coins will be repriced. Okay, well, we did talk about one of those coins in our latest YouTube member podcast. Complete mind-boggling moment. I can't even tell you which coin. It's a coin no one likes for good reason. And it was a mind-boggling conclusion. Mind-boggling. When you have XDC, I think you need to note that Algorand was a top performer last week. Algorand was moving. I mean, right now, there's clearly a 13 bottom. This is what most of crypto looks like, right? Dead and forgotten. No one wants to touch it. Every rally was sold. The XDC, sell. 13 bottom, everyone gives up, and now it's going the other way. This looks like MicroStrategy. Like you look at Algorand. By the way, here's another stupid comment. Ready? Stupid comment. Did you know stable coins traveled on layer ones? Did you? Yeah, that's how stable coins move, right? On layer ones. So we're not going to have stable coins now. We're going to have a complete nuke in private credit and legacy. We have a stablecoin act, which is, but and it'll be much easier to pass the Clarity Act when Bitcoin is at 100 and this geopolitical show is over. When they're done with the theater, stablecoins travel on layer ones, right? Like, has anyone asked what's the catch-up layer one trade? Well, don't worry. We'll be discussing that in Patreon in depth. We've already discussed it in the YouTube member podcast from yesterday. Chock full of all kinds of information, including a near-term roadmap. Where is everybody? You know where everybody is? Leaving at the bottom. That's just what happens. That's how you know it's a bottom. You know it's a bottom because the welcome mat gets worn out because everybody's walking out in the opposite direction. Everyone's leaving. Nope. This is when you should be piling in going, okay, what do I buy? Before this thing just completely, before every single coin trades like Tau. Let me say this again. You want to get involved in this market. This is not investment advice, but you want to get involved, whether that's making small positions slightly bigger or getting small positions, period. Okay. You want to get there. Game over is when China goes for Taiwan, and they are. Okay. So they want to, but here's what they don't, here's the only thing that's stopping them is that we've demonstrated with the Iranians that, we know where you live. So unless you want to live in a concrete bunker 2 miles below the sea level for the rest of your life, we'll find you. So whoever is the leader of whatever, and you cross us, yeah, they can find you. So we've kind of put out a global deterrent on that. But I do understand, like, Elon wants to make his own chips. I don't think there's any point in making them upset. We've made our point that we will just randomly blow people up if we don't like you. It's not very nice. It's not very American, if you ask me. However, this guy wants Bitcoin. He wants the Clarity Act. And if you think that he's not going to get it, you're out of your mind. He's got to get the Clarity Act before he leaves office, or he's got to get it before the midterms, because who knows if Congress goes completely the other way because of gas prices, he could wind up in trouble over crypto. I saw his meme coin pumping. Interesting. Little market maker lifted and then unloaded thing maybe going on there. Who knows? Or this thing is really over and they're front running the end of it by having him look like a genius. I thought of both. It could be both. Could be somebody who knows that, this is over. It's over. Doesn't want to get short oil. They're going to want to get long that meme coin. Personally, on that particular meme coin, I think you let the bag holder sell and see if it goes down. And, rather than that meme coin, I think if that meme coin is moving, you use it as a leading indicator, potentially, for the rest of the market. The rest of the market. Bitcoin is correlated with Tether. Once it drops and oil rips, that's when Bitcoin will rip, right? You think we have a dead cat bounce right now? No, dude, I don't think this is a dead cat bounce. I think this is a creeping rally. It's a creeping bid. Do you ever hear the saying, don't short the quiet market? It's quiet. And it's like grinding up. You got $4 billion worth of shorts in Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't mean that if they force the shorts out that you can't have a dip back to 70. You can have a dip back to 70, whatever. If oil's at 100, you can still have intense volatility. I'm not saying there's no volatility. I'm just saying that this market is telling you a liquidity response is coming. So if they want to sell it on any other reason, oh, please go right ahead. Go right ahead and tell me how negative everything is. Go right ahead and tell me how this is going down. Tell me how gold is great, how I'm a moron, I'm old, I'm out of touch. Tell me all about it. Meanwhile, this new Fed guy, like I said last week and the week before that and the week before that, we're knocking countries over. Do you think Donald Trump is not going to get what he wants on interest rates and QE? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Right? We got more stuff over in the Middle East than we had in 2003, and we are using it. Like it or not. I mean, we got U.S. soldiers are getting killed in this process. I mean, we are going at these people. Now, look, you can like that, not like that. Obviously, my heart goes out to any service members and families. I mean, this is tough. You look at the pictures, they are kids. But he's putting these kids in harm's way to achieve this objective. He doesn't care. And if you think he's not going to get what he wants on economics, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind, which is why this thing has the bid that it does. Everyone's like, do you remember this? Like, I don't know. This might have been like 60 days ago. Everyone's like, oh, who's the new Fed chairman? What's he going to do? You remember that? Yeah. Okay. Well, Simon, thanks for joining up, man. Loyalty badges and emojis. Welcome. You know what I'm saying? There is no way to stop this train. Okay, so Morian, who's last week wanted us to chart the 3-day death cross in Bitcoin, certainly. And what did we say about it last week? Right? So when you have these moving averages, which I have to fix these moving averages, just bear with me for a second here. Got a lot of LuxAlgo action going on here. Okay. So this is the 3-day chart of Bitcoin. You have, the white line is the 50-day. The red line is the 200-day moving average, or 200 period moving average. And every time you get one of these things, what do you get? I told you last week, a monster short covering rally. Everyone goes, oh my God, it's the death cross. Whoosh, straight up. It's like the equivalent of everyone seeing it all at the same time. Now, could it go lower later? Yeah, could. But it could just rip everyone's chin off going to 86. If there's no dip in this thing, you better watch out. I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I understand. All right, fine, it's not going to 58. Fine, I'll buy the next dip. Okay. What happens is the next dip is not until after it goes to 86. Bear markets don't let you out. Bull markets don't let you in. This is not letting anybody in. It's not. Bill, what's your take on accumulating TAO at this price level from Odd Dark, a member who is super chatting us? I got some during the dip. I'm long it, continue to DCA, or wait for another dip. Well, you know, nothing outperforms forever, right? So, I mean, I think when it comes to TAO, you want to say to yourself, all right, well, if you look at the 3-day chart, there's no reason to get in front of this, for this thing to stop until it gets to 380, right? So you have this, you know, resistance line at 384. You break into 200-day moving average. And look at the money flow. See, this is universal across crypto. There are signals here that this should stop. So it's almost like I want to find another AI coin. I mean, if you have this, maybe you find another one. We were looking at several in the YouTube member area. Look at money flow. So let's see. In February, we completely give up and unload everything. And now money flow is going green. Money flow is just starting to go green right here. I guarantee you there's this like really sick feeling inside crypto hedge funds. They don't want to be long. They don't want to touch this. They know they're reading all this private credit. Oh my God, watch out. There's going to be a liquidation trade. It's 2008 all over again. Yeah, it's just grinding up in their face. So painful. So painful. People are going to lose their house if they take your advice. Bro, my advice is to have a reasonable, affordable setup where you own some cryptocurrency and some privacy-related cryptocurrency. Some cryptocurrency. That's all. It's not load the boat. It's not bet the rent money. It's not buy a meme coin. It's not. John McAfee talked about the need for cryptocurrency. Now, we don't understand the need for alternative forms of money at this point. Well, bro, I cannot help you. I cannot help anybody. You walk around a grocery store, you walk around a Costco, and you realize whatever number you're looking at is 3 to 5x higher than it was 5 years ago. I mean, how's it going with the purchasing power of your dollar? Do you realize a dollar doesn't even buy you one Hot Pocket anymore? Do it in grocery store terms. Second of all, the AI trade. We talk about this on the YouTube member area. It's very simple. Machines are active. Machines are getting more active. Machines will not use legacy. Machines are going to need verification. You're going to need verification of what's real, which is why these AI coins and crypto are moving. Why is it that crypto is the only market that has not traded AI? Everybody assumes the AI trade's negative. Like, what stock's going to blow up? What company's going to blow up? What does it hurt you to allocate some of your money to crypto? Do you have a 401k? Are you long equities? How long are you? Right? I mean, what your net worth? I mean, do you have a house? You have a car? You have a 401k? Or do you have nothing? You have nothing and you want to have something. Both cases, you got to ask yourself, what am I allocating to crypto? Not am I betting meme coins? Okay, so you buy Bitcoin at 70 something and it goes to 58. Okay, you lost money. Fine. You lost money. If you're wrong, if I'm wrong, I'll lose money too. But if you're right, and this thing just takes off, and then you'll be asking yourself, I can't believe I didn't buy it at 60. It was obvious. It was Michael Saylor. I mean, Michael Saylor issued $2 billion in securities when people were acting like he was done. He somehow got his hands on $2 billion. How did that happen? Like, did Mike convince him? Or did BlackRock help? Elon opens his app, X platform, for all the trading. Do you think he's going to use XRP and Clarity Act and cut blasts to the moon. Dude, I think once he opens up Twitter payments, whatever it is, that you're going to see OpenAI using WorldCoin. You're going to see these lizards from Meta want to bring back stable coins. And as I've said, I think one of the reasons why Ripple's stock was revalued from 40 to 50 billion in a bear market is because there is a takeover buyer out there who goes, we have to pay $100 billion for this company, and we need to turn our company into an XRP treasury company by taking the supply of XRP on Ripple's balance sheet and putting that and the company on our balance sheet. I mean, what? Silicon Valley's bought everything. Lizard Man bought, what did he buy? The lobster thing where AI agents were talking. They're buying everything. They're going to build nuclear. They're going to build nuclear power plants attached to their data centers. Elon is going to build his own chips. They're spending money indiscriminately. They don't care because they know it's winner take all. So if Elon jumps into payments, someone else will jump into crypto. I mean, when you're spending $1 trillion, what's 100 billion for Ripple? Can you imagine a Ripple takeover? Can you imagine? And all that XRP supply that they've been dumping on people to fund their operations comes completely off the market? You'd have XRP at $7 and you'd have alt season. That's right. I just said it. In other words, the game you play in equities is you're always asking yourself, what's the catalyst? What's the catalyst? The catalyst is that these characters from Silicon Valley panic, or some financial firm panics and either has to tokenize assets or get on ETH or whatever. I think that's eventual. It's eventual. If there's a private credit blow up, everybody thinks the stock market is going to crash. I think the stock market is going to sit there and whatever, go up, go down. Who cares? Everybody is, and I do this, and Toby says, shut up. You're always looking at, hey, what's the stock market going to do? Who cares? Who cares? Nobody has done the right trade here. Nobody has done the right trade, which is to be long basic crypto. TAO is just like the #1 AI coin. TAO's like the Bitcoin of the AI space. It's not like you had to be some rocket scientist to figure out TAO. And it went up 60%. You don't think ETH can revalue itself to 3K? You sure? Do you know the history of how ETH moves when it moves? First of all, good luck even having a conversation about ETH. Who has conversations about ETH? It's dead. People have conversations about ETH when they want to make fun of Tom Lee. That's when you have a conversation about ETH. However, when ETH goes up in an up-only way. Like, this is ETH in July of last year. Straight up, like vertical. Every single candle is green. Whoosh, see ya. That's not entirely. Every single candle is probably not green here. A LuxAlgo bug, but you can see when ETH goes, it is vertical. And of course, ETH is doing what is now obviously the bigger the base, the higher into space. Very obvious, right? Sits here dead. Everyone thinks it's a bear market. Okay. Now that said, obviously we don't want to see a failed rally. Obviously we don't want anything grotesque. We don't want anything blowing up. We don't want that. However, we are setting up levels in Patreon. We are ready to buy the dip. If they want to give us a dip this week, because the big turn, Toby has a date for the turn and I have a date for the turn. Naturally, that's premium stuff, right? So they want to give us a dip? No problem. No problem. I'm all about it. I read that the Clarity Act is going to pass, but we're not getting the stablecoin yield. Do we still get crypto yield at least? Look, probably. Look, here's what I've said. If they don't, the banks are never going to fully buy into stablecoins. And I think what they're going to do is people are going to see this disparity, right? And the market's just going to innovate their way around it. That's all. I mean, if you can't offer 5% on a stablecoin, they'll offer 5% on ETH or some other cryptocurrency, just not a stablecoin. Okay, whatever. We'll take another cryptocurrency, we'll buy treasury bonds, and we'll add yield to that. I don't know, something like that. The market will just innovate their way out of the problem while banks try to save face. The cryptocurrency market does not need regulators to tell us what should have an interest rate and what doesn't. Congress doesn't set interest rates in the market. The market sets interest rates in the market. I mean, that was, mostly before it was all fixed by the Fed, but it'll be so refreshing. Like, okay, we have the fake interest rates on stable coins, and then they'll have a gold token with a yield. Who knows? They're going to innovate their way around it. It's going to backfire on the banks. I'm telling you, they're going to come out with this. Everyone's going to look at the stable coins. The consumer's going to go, what is this? And it's going to backfire. Everyone's going to look at the banks and go, you're all scared of crypto. Buy Bitcoin. The Clarity Act becomes a commercial for Bitcoin if the banks admit weakness and don't let this through. If the banks were smart, they would just be like, yeah, okay, we'll play. Like the banks can't get deposits. Like the banks, I don't know. They're acting like it's all over if they can't get deposits and not pay people for the deposits. I don't know. Like grandma and the aging population is not going to go to stable coins. They're admitting weakness and it's going to blow up in their face. I can't wait. They're going to pass this thing and Bitcoin's going to God candle that day. That day. Because again, you're going to need cryptocurrency. A stable coin was not on like the John McAfee, Satoshi Nakamoto rebellion list. A stable coin's like, okay, yeah, this is a convenient curiosity. Fine. The whole ecosystem doesn't need to be built around stables. I mean, obviously, stables will bring in huge amounts of capital. Okay, fine. But they're not going to stay in stables. They're going to stay there. They're going to go to other digital assets. So, I mean, there's really no bullish catalyst in crypto other than, we haven't devalued the dollar versus digital assets. A massive liquidity response is imminent. Absolutely imminent. Powell could start in 2 days. Imminent. Can't wait. And like I said, the orange man's going to get what he wants. They're going to get the Clarity Act, or they're going to get whatever version they can get. And then everybody's going to go, oh my God, I don't own this. You're going to have epic asset allocation from a dead, boring equities market saddled with AI problems, oil problems, private credit problems, worry, which is legit, over to a crypto market that no one has touched. Everybody has convinced themselves is no good. And it's just going to be up only because you're going to have this massive tidal wave of legacy capital coming in. Oh, and by the way, this private credit thing is not the end of stonks, although it can create a problem. It's the beginning of tokenized assets. Why do you think BlackRock wants tokenized assets? These guys are not stupid. They know this sludge can't move. You can't move private equity, real estate, commercial real estate. There are all these funds. Oh, yeah, I got all these assets. Oh, yeah, let's make up a value. Okay, this is the value. What was the last trade? Oh, 6 years ago. Oh, all right. Well, we'll just leave that as the value. You don't know what the value of any of this sludge is. Everyone wants to get their money out of these funds. You can't get your money out. They can't sell. Wall Street will let you buy any sludge that's out there. You can't sell. So they got to tokenize everything. Don't you get it? And what's going to happen is, like I said, we'll get volatility off of this war. Everybody thinks it's over. And of course, unfortunately, this is another sign that it's over. Bankruptcy. People giving up. Everybody blows up. Everyone leaves. Everyone's leaving. Like sometimes the final blow up is still occurring as the market is going up, fueling the disbelief. It's over. Right. The damage from this bear market has been done. Guys will liquidate. People will go bankrupt. It's such a shame. Misuse of customer funds possibly involved in this. At the end of the day, consensus, all these firms laid people off in 2018 at the absolute bottom. And Silicon Valley is so busy firing people that they're not paying enough attention to crypto. And someone's going to get the jump on them. Someone is. Like, it could be Elon with this X, with the X payments thing. I don't know. But somebody said, does this have an XRP angle to it? Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, it does. Why not dip a toe in XRP? Why not dip a toe in Algorand? These things are destroyed. Do you remember? Oh, it's the American-made cryptos, right? They're going to have to bring all this back, once they're done with their geopolitical theater, once they're done with what I would call the conflict for the donors, because it's what it is, right? Once we're done with the donors and they get what they want, then he's going to need to get what he needs because his family has got all this money tied up in crypto. The guy's net worth is like, what, $6 billion? How much of that is from crypto? How is he going to prevent getting taken out to the woodshed legally for that meme coin? Or for his kids being involved, or for world liberty, or all this stuff. It's going to have to be made completely legal. It's going to happen. They'll give the banks, they don't care about the stable coins. They want to make sure they don't go to jail. You tell me this is not happening? This is happening. It is so happening. It's just not on anybody's radar. Everyone's ignoring it because, again, as Toby said, it's like as soon as he said this, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got to look at this whole thing differently. Everybody is looking at the wrong thing. What else is new, right? They got you looking over here. The opportunity of a lifetime is over here. And you don't even have to be involved in huge size, I don't think, because the rally could be, in some cases, that big. Like the guy who's saying, like, if you do this, you're going to lose your house. Dude, you don't have to bet your house. You don't have to bet it. You don't have to, you just have to be involved. Did you need to bet your house to be long NVIDIA 10 years ago? No. NVIDIA did like 1,000x over 10 years. You're not gonna need to wait to get 1,000x in certain cryptos. You're not gonna wait 10 years. When some machine comes out and says, "Yeah, we're on Injective, we're on Caspa, or we're on Solana," like these machines are going to be out there. And again, everyone's acting like that's not happening. The news is about, oh my God, look, this missile was fired today. Like, you got to be kidding me. Supermat, good morning from the UK. Then why are these countries all acquiring their goods from offshore banks? Because they know something is going down. Gold. Dude, listen, I'm not negative gold. I've never been negative gold. Saylor came out and said the U.S. government should sell all of its gold to buy Bitcoin. And I said, absolutely not. Gold is a central bank reserve asset, and gold is fine. Like why can't it be both? I mean, crypto was initially billed as a digital commodity. What commodity has not gone up this year? Can we think of it that way? Think of it that way. It's a part of the commodity complex. Platinum, palladium, every single metal, oil, you know, uranium, fertilizer, grains are probably next. It's not one or the other. It really isn't. Yeah, Peter Schiff and guys on Twitter who want to get 1 million followers. Yeah, okay. If I wanted to do that, I go pick a fight with some gold guy. How about I just pick a fight with everyone who's negative? I mean, seriously, we're doing these streams once a week because if I do them every day, I'm going to get tuned out. I'm going to get absolutely friggin' tuned out. I may be getting tuned out already, but that's okay because people are getting money. Some guy super chatted $100 said, thank you for keeping us in the game. You know, like Patreon subscribers, people listening to Toby, the YouTube member area. I mean, oh my God. Man alleges wife stole $172 million in Bitcoin. This is random. $172 million in Bitcoin after covertly recording him. Estranged ex-wife stole $171 million using CCTV to get the seed phrase. Bitcoin's a waste of time, right? Going to use CCTV to get their hands on the Bitcoin. So what? You can dump it at 70? Maybe. Or someone wakes up and goes, oh my God, this is the only AI-proof thing that there is. When people figure this out, just like it was stupid on the downside, it's going to get stupid on the upside. It's totally stupid. Let's welcome who's here. Morion. Love you, man. Bull Runner, let's go. Spartans, Knox Bill, TLA Lover, a Spartan Colonel. What's up? Odd Dark, The Experience, DNT Saver. What's up? Thomas, Simon, the Super Chatter, ADL, Live TA on TIG and Toshi. Well, there was a give up trade in TIG. So hopefully they're done with that. Meme coins got to get through the 50-day moving average. With all these meme coins, this is a good signal from LuxAlgo. With all of these meme coins, you got to wait for the bag holders to get out. Share screen. You got to wait for the bag holders to get out, right? And, you know, there are some of these things where you know, the give up trades were so epic. So this is TIG, the innovation game. Like, look at the vertical nature of this descent. And of course, when it goes back up, it's vertical on the way back up, gets to the 50-day moving average, bag holders sell, and we wait and see. If you like the fundamentals of this coin, I don't see any reason to get out unless it goes below 33 cents or 30 cents again. In other words, it's not a bull market until somebody can buy a dip and make money. But if you didn't give up when everyone else is giving up, why would you give up now? That said, you want to evaluate all of these small coins on rallies. You want to constantly be evaluating Simon, the Super Chatter, once Clarity Act passes, institutional and sovereign money comes into the space. The whole thing is built on ETH, and ETH just goes. Dude, why do you think Tom Lee doesn't care? I mean, people are just assuming that Tom Lee and Michael Saylor are irresponsible lunatics. You know, they consume illicit substances at lunch. I don't know what people are thinking. That these people are just stupid, right? Cisco Wolf wants to check out Pengu. Market's up like 2 days that y'all are after the y'all are after the meme coins. Okay, so again, does the 50-day moving average act as support? That's like 0.007. I think the larger point with all of these coins is that this is probably an accumulation cone. Normally, these formations are negative in equities, but if it breaks out of the top, and I still think in all these meme coins and all these coins, money flow is starting to, if money flow can go positive, if these things can hold a bid, you know, you have to let the bag holders sell in meme coins. Retail always sells the first rally. I learned this in equities. And you know, look, people can't take the pain. They're over it. They're done. They just want out. Like, just because I'm talking like it's a bottom and it's turning, everyone else psychologically is like, oh my God, please get me out of this. Please, I'll never do this again. That's where people's heads are. PWB, what's up? 5 Wave, Justin, Smash Satoshi, Yav, a member. What's going on? Hourglass Crypto. Good evening. Elegantly, I would rather have to buy the dip than miss the bottom. You can't build semiconductors with Bitcoin. You can with gold. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. You keep that commodity complex moving higher and Bitcoin will follow. Right? That is the way to go. Diesel is pushing $6 in DMV. This is unbelievable. Imagine these diesel pickup trucks, the cost of transportation. Oh my God. Oh my God. Schillerverse. Welcome, sir. Appreciate being your favorite YouTuber. Thank you. Diesel, $8 a gallon in California, according to the Eagle King. Absolutely unbelievable. Stuart Lovell, Morgan Stanley supports Saylor. He's just the puppet. Actually, if you really want the truth of the matter, I think Uncle Sugar supports Saylor, and Saylor is the American strategic Bitcoin reserve. Saylor says when he dies, he's going to throw away the keys. No, he's not. He's going to leave it to Uncle Sam. Or Uncle Sam's just going to come in and buy the company. Or nationalize it. Doesn't matter. It's like that Bitcoin will never, ever see the light of day again. Ever. And people don't get this. His Bitcoin could wind up being universal basic income if Bitcoin goes to some stratospheric price and you can't even trade it anymore, except by like the fraction of a Satoshi or a Satoshi. You don't know. You don't know. Nothing is what it seems. Odd Dark in the house. Welcome, sir. A YouTube member. Country Club Hillbilly is here. Supermat. Maurian. Rocket. Jordan. They can mine more gold. They can print more money. You can't make more Bitcoin. Yes, according to Simon the Super Chatter. AI cannot replicate the Bitcoin network. It can replicate Bitcoin software, but you can't replicate the network. It would just be another stupid fork. And they can't make more Bitcoin. So, and the thing that's funny is, some of the guys I know that like Bitcoin thinks Bitcoin is going, they have to say Bitcoin is going lower because of this private credit thing. So there'll be a massive deleveraging and liquidation in equities, which could happen. That could be Rectember. And Bitcoin has to go lower. Does it? Or has it already gone lower? At least right this second. So the bears are bearish. The bulls are bearish. The bulls are short. The bulls are hedged. All these companies like Metaplanet. Remember we were talking about all these companies? Don't short the quiet market. Oh, wait, we have all this Bitcoin and we're losing money, but don't worry. We're going to sell bullish derivative bets above the market so we can make 5% yield. Don't worry. We're going to be getting extra yield on our Bitcoin by being bearish. Steeler's going to get on the stage at Bitcoin Vegas in April. He's like, what's the problem? You realize what happens if Bitcoin is at 100 by the time Bitcoin Vegas happens at the end of April. You realize what a mania that's going to create, right? But we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about really important things. You know, like, oh, wow, what type of missile did some country in the Middle East launch today? Stop it. Stop it. I mean, you turn on like Communist News Network or any of these news channels, everyone's complaining, everyone's upset, everyone's, oh, wait a minute. You know, the way humanity's way out, this is a YouTube member area thing. Humanity's way out has been left by the side of the freaking road. Bitcoin and crypto are like a Dairy Queen cup that has been thrown out the window on a highway going 80 miles an hour and run over by 16 cars. It's like a flat piece of styrofoam on a sizzling Texas road. No one wants it. Now, there's no hope for the styrofoam cup, but there's clearly hope for Bitcoin. Period. And there's even a lower supply of Zcash. And Janice McAfee is going to be on the stage talking privacy at Bitcoin Vegas. This privacy narrative, who's talking about it? Nobody. You know, the Winklevoss twins hoovered up everyone's Zcash and walked away laughing with the oldest trick in the book. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Zcash at 267. Who cares? Who cares? Like these prices, it's like, oh, it's up. No, it's not. No, it's not. Zcash was at like what, 500 in January? Like, here's an example. Virtuals. Exiting a LuxAlgo bullish downward sloping wedge with gusto. You get a return move in this down here, or maybe you just get some sort of chill price action. 50-day moving averages here. You know, you got to start asking yourself, where was all this stuff like a year ago? Or where was it at its high? May 2025, the high in virtuals was $2. It's currently trading at 79 cents. I don't think you need to be a genius on TA. I think if they gave up, they can ungive up. I think if it just made a low, it can go back to its high. Because nobody can tell me why this is down. Not the bears can't tell me why it's down. I asked the bear, why is the market? Why did Bitcoin go from 60 to 90? Oh, well, it's the 4-year cycle. Oh, okay. Again, super smart people. I have respect for these people. They've been right. They were right. And what happens? And what happens when people figure out that it's not the 4-year cycle, and it's not a new paradigm. It's just a giant consolidation. It's all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. It's, you know, it's just a big range, maybe. Why is that so radical? Everyone's bullish at 120 and everyone hates it. It's diseased at 70. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. And if Toby's right and this thing just goes, oh God, forget about it. People will just, I mean, you saw this calculation from earlier, right? About what gold did in 2008 after they restarted QE. $175,000 Bitcoin. No one's talking about that. What they're talking about is they're selling the rally off oil, which is fine because, again, this final word, that's what works in our favor. I don't want the Eagle King to fall asleep behind the wheel. We're doing this stream, which is just one of these nights where I could just probably go off all night. So thank you for joining the emergency stream. For God's sakes, get in the YouTube member area, subscribe, listen to me and Toby. Patreon is going to be loaded. We have roadmaps. We're going to be doing coin picks. We're just going to go off. We've been going off quietly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We will see you soon.